I have these, I just got them on the internet. They're like, it's like one giant onesie. It's actually really good for yoga, I think. So hello everybody and welcome to today's 11:11 a.m. message. Although it's not 11:11 a.m. everywhere, it's 11:11 a.m. here in London. In Australia, I believe it's about 8:11 p.m. In New York or the east coast of the States, I believe it's about 6:11 a.m. In which case, if you are on the east coast of the States and you are waking up early, make sure you say hello and let us know, because you deserve a prize for being online. Someone wrote to me the other day and said they were waking up at 4:11 a.m. for one of the messages or all of the messages. I'm not sure. It's like, wow, thank you, what an honor. So just let people join. So let's just light a candle just to bring in some light, literally and metaphorically speaking. And today we are going to be talking about rising signs. Who wants to talk about rising signs? Who here knows their rising sign and who doesn't? If only I could do a live poll on one of these lives. I probably can. There's probably someone out there who knows how to make one of those happen. Who knows their rising sign? Oh, Lulu says she's loving the Prime. Yes, I'm loving the Prime. Hello from Port Douglas. Hello from Copenhagen. Soraya, it's 3:11 a.m. Where are you? Janice, it's 5:13 a.m. Where are you? Okay, so Yoria says, I'm Scorpio rising. Hi, Julie, back at work. Catherine Ryan, rising signs. I can't find my time of birth. Gemini rising, Virgo rising. Okay. So let's talk about rising signs. I wanted to do this today because I get so many messages asking me, what's the big deal about rising signs? Why are you always saying read your rising sign if you know it? When in my horoscopes. So I wanted to explain it today. I thought it was a good enough day to do it. There's nothing else major happening in the skies, and we will do a card at the end of today as well. So here is a chart that I just printed out, which is actually for right now. Okay, it's the chart for right now. So what you're looking at here, I know it's probably a little bit hard to see, especially because it's going to be backwards, but it doesn't really matter. The point is, that's what a horoscope chart looks like. Okay, so what you can see is a circle cut up into 12. I mean, I call them pizza slices just because people relate to that, or they're like slices of pizza or slices of cake, cut up into 12 equal sections. Now, before we go any further, let me just say, there are different ways of cutting up the pizza or the cake. Some people use whole sign houses, which I do. It's the oldest and, in my opinion, the best. Some people use other sorts of houses, and that's why sometimes if you do your chart with one person, then you do it with another, you'll get your sun in the 4th house in one chart and your sun in the 5th house in the other, whatever. It's just people are using different house systems. I use whole sign houses, and if you Google it, there's a really great podcast. I think his name's Austin Pocock, and he gives a really, really great argument for why to use whole sign houses, and that was what tipped me over the edge. I was kind of varying, but anyway, so that's a bit too much information for some people, and I apologize. So let's go back to the 12 slices of pizza. So as you can see, that's the chart for right now. So any child born in London about 9 minutes ago, that is their birth chart. Because what a chart is, it's more or less a snapshot of the heavens at the moment that you were born. But this is the really important thing that relates to rising signs. It's taken for the place where you were born, okay? So what you need to imagine is this. Here we are on planet Earth, okay? Spinning around the sun, okay? We're going around the sun. As we go around the sun, okay, on our little planet that's turning as it spins around the sun, just to add to the whole mayhem, right? When you were born, at the moment you were born, you went out and you took a photo of the heavens, all right, from where you were born, you would then get, that's where all the planets are, okay? So let me see if I can see the, yeah, so like that's where Venus is. Venus is at 21 degrees of Gemini. That's where Mercury is. The sun's there. There's the moon, okay? There's all that. Now, here's the thing. All those planets are great, and everybody who's born, you know, pretty much today will have the planets in at those points in the sky, because obviously if you're born this morning or you're born tonight, the only thing that really will have moved between this morning and tonight will be the moon, because the moon moves faster than the planets, you know, like the moon takes a month to go through all the 12 signs, whereas the sun takes a year to go through all the signs, okay? So everyone will have pretty much the same chart apart from the moon, which keeps changing. But the other thing that will change, it's not a planet, it's a point, is the rising sign. So what is the rising sign? Are you ready? The rising sign is the constellation. Remember, we are spinning around the sun, and as we spin, there's all the constellations in the skies. It's the constellation that was coming up over the eastern horizon at the moment that you were born, in the place that you were born. Now, because if you were born, you know, here on the earth, obviously east for you is going to be a different thing than if you were born, say, here on the earth, like England and Australia, say. You'll get it, your east, what's coming up over the eastern horizon at the moment you're born is a different sign. Do you get it? Oh my God, it's so amazing. I find this so amazing. Anyway, so it's the sign that's coming up over the eastern horizon at the moment that you were born. And that is going to vary for everybody depending on where you're born. So a kid born in London at on this very day, about 10 minutes ago, will have Leo rising. You can see there, it's at 9 o'clock on the chart, Leo rising, okay? But a kid born in Australia, I should have done two charts, sorry, I didn't think of that until now, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. A kid born in Australia at the exact same moment in time, but in Australia, is going to have a different east, you know, because they're different, they're in a really big different place on the planet. So they will have a different rising sign. Now, what does that matter? What's the big deal? So for one thing, you know, going off this chart, if you're Leo rising, that says a fair bit about you. You know, it's basically your rising sign is how you come across in the world, okay? So if you're Leo rising, then you're going to come across as someone who knows how to make an entrance, okay? Leo is the sign represented by the lion, the lord of the jungle, you know, so you're probably going to have big hair, and you're going to have great fashion taste, and you're going to know how to make a fashion statement. You're going to walk in and people are going to turn around and look at you, because Leo rising, remember Leo governs being a star, you know. Of course, not everyone who's Leo rising is a star, but they're going to have a little bit of star quality. Now, we all have Leo rising in our chart, and we all have Leo in our chart somewhere. But if you have Leo rising, it means you are going to come across as a Leo. So even if you're if you're born today, what are you? You're a Taurian. So whether you're a Taurian or you're a Gemini or you're a, you know, whatever you are, it doesn't matter. Because if you were born when Leo was rising, you're going to come across as a Leo. Now, someone born in Australia at the same moment in time, I'm afraid I actually don't know exactly what they would be. I can't calculate it in my head. But, you know, just say they might be Virgo rising, which they wouldn't be because it's the next sign. But, you know, so that would be completely different, because the Leo person is, the rising is how you come across. Okay, it's the mask you wear when you walk into a party, for example. So a Leo rising is going to walk in and go, hello, I'm here. Whereas a Virgo rising person, Virgo is a very different energy. It's much more, how can I help you? How may I serve you? Leo's like, you know, I'm ready for my close-up. And Virgo's more like, you know, I've cleaned out all your cupboards in the kitchen, but I haven't swept under them yet. Shall I do that for you as well? Completely different energy. So you're going to come across as very different, you know, depending on your rising sign. Now, that's one interesting thing about rising signs. But wait, there's something even more interesting and important. Okay, I was going to say in my humble opinion, but it's not even in my opinion. I think it's just a fact. So what the rising sign does, I'm going to scooch on in here a bit so I can get a bit closer to the camera. What the rising sign does, now I'm always saying, aren't I, that we all have all the signs everywhere in the chart. Have you heard me say that? I say it all the time. I write it all the time. Because I might say something like, Scorpio's got a sting in its tail, but don't judge the Scorpios, because we all have Scorpio in our chart somewhere. Okay, because that's how it works. So here. Someone's just saying, I'll get to that, Leah. That's a good question. All right, so here. Say, for example, you are Leo rising. That means Leo rules your first house. Okay, it means it rules your first house. Now, what that means is that, therefore, Virgo rules your second house. Okay, Virgo rules your second house. Now, that's how you come across now, because all the signs go in the order of the zodiac. So you have Leo on the first house, Virgo on the second house, Libra on the third house, Scorpio on the fourth house, Sagittarius on the fifth house, Capricorn on the sixth house, Aquarius, which is the love zone, on the seventh house, Aquarius on your love zone, Pisces on your eighth, Aries on your ninth, Taurus on your 10th, another really important chart, it's your career. So if you're Leo rising, you love like an Aquarian and you work like a Taurian, so, you know, strong and steadily. And then Gemini on the 11th house and Moonchild or Cancer on the 12th house. So that's why it's so important. That is why it's so important, okay? Because it basically dictates how your chart plays out. So just say, for example, if you were Scorpio rising, okay, then Sagittarius would rule your seventh house, your second house, because that's the next sign along. So as opposed to a Leo, so Leos, even though they're quite confident, okay, they spend like Virgos. Virgo rules their second house, so they spend like Virgo. So they're actually, even though they're very well known for being generous with their money, they're also smart with their money, you know. And then their communications, they think like a Libran. They have Libra on the third house. So around and around and around it goes, and it always goes in the same order as the stars, you know, as the stars always go. So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Moonchild, Leo, Virgo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn. Did I miss out Libra? I always miss out Libra, which is so funny. Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Okay, so it all plays out in that order, with the first sign being whatever you have at 9 o'clock. So let's just say if you were Taurus rising, just say Taurus was at 9 o'clock on your chart. Okay, then you would come across as a Taurus, which is to mean quite strong and stubborn. And, you know, I mean, the joke is that Taurians are, well, they're stubborn, but they're also quite sensual. Then that means the next sign is Gemini. So Gemini rules your second house, which is cash. So you spend like a Gemini. So in other words, if you have Taurus rising, you spend like a Gemini, which is to mean on varied things. You probably change your mind all the time about things. You probably like to spend a lot of money on books, all sorts of Gemini things. You spend like a Gemini. So there we go. So, right, Jeanette is saying the rising sign in Australia at the moment is Aquarius, so opposite Leo. Yes, I thought it might be, but they're not always exactly so precise, because some signs rise really quickly and some don't. But there we are, we have the answer there. So someone who was born the exact same moment on the other side of the world, instead of having Leo rising, would have the absolute opposite sign, Aquarius rising. So that's answered that question. So there you go. Does that give you an idea of how the chart plays out? Someone said, my son is Leo and Leo rising and he's really shy. Well, you know, can be down to a few things, because you can't really take the chart just one aspect of it. So just say, for example, if you have your sun conjunct, say, Saturn, which is a really heavy duty sign and actually is about limitations and restrictions and barriers and obstacles and fear and doubt. So even if you're Leo, right, but your sun is conjunct Saturn, one of the ways that could play out would be you could actually be quite shy. You'd be a shy Leo, okay? It can also, but it's not like, don't think of it, you have to be a shy person. You don't have to be a fearful person. It can also, yeah, this is for you, Leanne. So it can also be, you know, that eventually that you're a very serious person because Saturn's really serious. So you have to look at the whole chart for things like that. And it can also be, you know, Saturn can be, you know, is a sign of teaching, for example, or, you know, there's lots of things that ways it can play out, but it could be, or his sun could be in the 12th house, which is the sort of a part of the chart where you're kind of a bit hidden away. So even though you're Leo, being in the 12th house, in fact, I know a Leo really well who's, she's a Leo with sun in the 12th house, and she's quietly confident, but she doesn't put herself out there. She kind of likes to hide away. So, you know, that's how it goes. And plus also, depending on his age, he may grow into his Leo-ness. Yeah, there's a free birth chart. You can do your chart for free at moonmessages.com/free chart. Free chart, one word. So 2 more things and then a card. So the next thing I want to say is people will always ask, what if I don't know my birth time? Because this is based on birth time. So if you don't know your birth time, there are a few things you can do. The first is ask your mum. Second thing is ask your dad, you know, because quite often they'll remember. If you really want to get serious though, you can go to what's called an electional astrologer. And the best one I know is Lee Lehman, Leelehman, leelehman.com. And I believe you can give her a bit of cash and she will use a process of, it's called rectification, and she will work out based on all the events in your life, like if you got married or divorced or graduated or had a kid or whatever, all the big things in your life. Using a kind of a deductive process, she can help you work out when you were born, what your rising sign is. But also, you can also get muscle tested with kinesiology, because on some level, you know when you were born. So you can get muscle tested. And I always say the best thing would be to get both done and see if they match. Hopefully they do. So there's that. And also, yes, I wanted to point out, if you are Leo rising, because by the way, it's actually Leo rising's lucky month. Now, if you are Leo rising, why is it your lucky month? Well, I will tell you why. So see, where are we? It's all backwards. Here we go. See here, this is your 11th house. The 11th house is the house of the thing wished for. The 11th house is where you hold all your hopes and dreams and wishes, okay? Now, if you are Leo rising, note that this coming new moon is your lucky wishing moon for all of 2020, okay? The new moon that's taking place later this week is your lucky wishing moon. It's taking place in your 11th house, which is the house of the thing wished for. So you really need to make sure you do your new moon wishes this month if you're Leo rising, okay? It's really, really important to do them. I'll be doing a free new moon ceremony on Facebook, actually, so, and on Instagram. So you can sign up for that on my events page on Facebook. I'm afraid there isn't one for Instagram. So if you're if you're Leo rising, seriously, don't miss this chance. It's the most powerful time of the year for you to make wishes and put them out to the universe. And if you would like to do that with me, we'll be making some really powerful new moon wishes, but also get a look all through your chart to find out how your chart plays out. You know, what rules your love zone and what rules your home zone. If you're Leo rising, it's your month for the Written in the Stars webinar, which is a 1 hour, it actually usually runs over a bit, but it's a 1 hour webinar where we talk about, well, for one thing, we make really powerful new moon wishes together because it's the most powerful time of the year for you to make them. We talk about how your chart plays out, what rules your love zone and your work zone and so on. And then using that information, we look at the big energies for the coming 12 months. So if you are Leo rising and you would like to do that, we'll be doing that the day after the new moon, which is just a couple of days from now. And you can sign up. It's at www.moonmessages.com/written, like written as in WRITTN, as in written in the stars, but it's just moonmessages.com/written. I've put a link up above in Facebook, and I would love to see you on there. We've already got loads and loads of people, and people have responded to this webinar so well. We only started doing it a few months ago, and we're getting so many people who absolutely love it. And it's kind of, I mean, I wouldn't say if you're really, a really serious astrologer, then you can do all this stuff yourself. But if you're just getting into astrology, or even if you know nothing about astrology, but you're kind of a bit astrology curious, it'll definitely give you some great revelations. And I've also had emails from people afterwards saying things like, I thought I knew a lot about my chart, but actually I learned a lot during that webinar. So that's great. moonmessages.com/written. And if you're not Leo rising, but you want to sign up for yours and sort of get your seat while you can, there's actually buttons on that page where you can sign up in advance. So on that note, I am going to draw a card. Who would like a card and who would like a question? Someone's saying, how accurate does the time of birth need to be, please? Actually, so here we go. She's saying, I was just born just before 1 o'clock if I use 12:55. In a case like that, sure, go with it and see if you think it describes you. But there's something I forgot to say. Many people do not like their rising sign when they first hear it. I discovered I'm Taurus rising, and I'm really close to the cusp, and I was really wanting to be Aries rising because I wanted to be all the things that I'm not, because we don't necessarily like the way we come across. Okay, so if you don't like your rising sign when you hear it for the first time, don't worry, it's normal. People don't, because we all think we come across differently the way we do. Someone's saying, do you have to be Leo rising to do the webinar? Yes, you do. This is for Leo rising people only this month. Next month we'll do Virgo rising people, but if you're Leo rising, it's going to be really fun because you'll be with all sorts of fabulous Leo rising people, darling. It'll all completely intimidate me, I'm sure. That's moonmessages.com/written. All right, so let's do a card. On that note, I'll get a bit serious now. Get in the zone to do a card. Who's got a question? People are asking for a card. It's good if you can... Oh, this one. Ask your question, okay? Ask your question. Sally didn't want to be Cancerian rising. Fiona loves it. That's good. I don't like my chart at all, says Samantha. What an accurate smack in the face, exactly. Astrology just helps you understand why you are the way you are. And finding out your rising sign is the first thing to do, and then you'll start to understand how your chart plays out. And as I said, if you are Leo rising, it's your month. Come and join the Written in the Stars webinar, moonmessages.com/written. I'm going to reveal the card in a second. All right, if you've written your question in there, here we go. Oh, gosh. Do you know, I don't think I've ever drawn this card in the 5 million years I've been using this deck. Wow, Isis. The situation involves your past life memories. So someone's asking about career. So whatever issue you're facing now, there's something from a past life that is influencing you. I seriously don't think I've ever had that card. Maybe I have and I've forgotten. Let's read it. Okay. All right. Your roots upon this planet are strong and deep. I'm sure the people who watch this have strong and deep roots upon the planet. And some of the roots have anchored you in past memories from faraway times. These roots have anchored you so deeply, in fact, you're paralyzed when it comes to moving forward. Well, I hope that's not you. I've called your attention to this condition so that you may unearth and uproot these past memories. It's a bit like weeding out a root, weeding out a weed. Sometimes you have to bury those memories to shield yourself from psychic pain or embarrassment, so you won't remember these awkward moments when life tested you to the maximum. Reveal those lessons to yourself now, strong sorceress, and move forward with the confidence that you have sage wisdom behind you. Your current situation relates to a childhood issue. Whatever you're going through now, your current situation may relate to a childhood issue. You've known the person you're inquiring about in a past life, right? Ancient fears from a past life are surfacing. That makes sense to me. Amazing. Get a past life regression to gain insights and answers into your questions. So there you go. Pretty cool card for the day, I think. Pretty good card for the day. All right. Seems to be resonating with people. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you back same time tomorrow. Just going to let you know, I've asked Michael Mastro, who did the Vastu. We talked about Indian Feng Shui, Vastu. I've asked him if he'll come back on, and we'll talk about all the little stickers that he sent me to use around the house. And yeah, I'm really hoping he's going to say yes, and we can do some more Vastu together. Mwah. Oh, the link isn't working for me. It just keeps going to the free birth chart. That's what you want, the free birth chart. And then it says ascendant or rising sign on the last page. All right? Lots and lots of love. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And I'll see you same time tomorrow.